Hello, welcome to the Grandma's Wealth Wisdom YouTube channel, or if you're checking this out on Facebook, welcome to our Facebook page. So glad to have you here. People that are catching the replay, you're in for a really big treat today. And then as people are joining us live, we'll of course welcome the live people as well. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Deborah Wilder, although we'll call her Debbie. She is a partner at the Financial Fixer. How about that? Who wants to get their finances fixed? And she concentrates on guaranteeing you money for life without taking the roller coaster risks in the stock market. Might sound familiar from us at Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. We're both part of the same mastermind and use some of the same products and things in our work that we do. And she particularly is really great at educating people and helping them find peace of mind as they're nearing retirement. As you can see, we're both ladies. We come from a little bit of a different generation. So I'm really looking forward to this chat. Another thing, if you you can hear Debbie on and her colleague on the radio each week for an hour-long weekly show called Money Life. I'll make sure Debbie shares with you how to find that if you want to hear more from her. On the personal side, she lives in Connecticut with her husband, 2 children, and a dog. And when she's not working, she's being the taxi for her children, coaching girls basketball, working out, and reading the newspaper. So welcome, Debbie. So glad to have you here.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you very much.
On a personal sorry.
I'm already here.
We're just both so excited today. On a personal note, I met Debbie probably like 2.5 years ago and immediately fell in love. She's got a really great personality, hilarious. I'm looking forward to you getting to know her as well. So forgot to say that at the beginning here. So Debbie, give us a little bit of like behind the bio. Share a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, first, welcome YouTubers out there in YouTube land. It's very different for me talking out here because I usually don't do these. And when there's no audience, except for Amanda, it's kind of weird, but thank you for listening. Well, first of all, I've had 5 careers. Okay, I started out, going to college and becoming a computer geek. Honestly, that's what I was. and did computer programming, worked for Stanley Works. They make the tools, now Black & Decker. Did that for 15 years. And I loved my job. Very few women did it. I loved being in a profession where there weren't very many women because I wanted to prove myself. It was really very interesting. There were actually 2 people in my graduating class of 40 who were women on top of that back in the 80s. I don't want to say how old I actually am, though. Late 80s. And so after I did that, I went to another type of job that was a .com bubble bust in 1999. That lasted for all of 6 weeks after leaving a 15-year job. And then I said, oh my goodness, that wasn't too good. So I had my first child right around then anyhow. And I decided I was going to take off some time. So I took off about 8 years. Okay. And got to do what every woman would love to do, is stay home with their child, but there's no question about it. In the meantime, I had my second child as well. So information technology. And while I was raising my kids, I also decided to have a part-time job as an executive secretary for a nonprofit organization. So that was number 2. And then I became a bank on yourself professional, which is what I am right now. That was my 3rd career. So what's number 4 and 5? Well, my 4th is being a wife. That is definitely a job, as
yes, amen.
Amen to that. And my 5th is being a mom. These are heavy-duty careers that we don't consider, because we just don't make money doing that.
Yeah.
And most people think we just spend money doing that. But there's a lot involved. We know what it is to organize and to take care of and schedule and everything involved with that.
Yep.
It's so important that those careers are recognized.
Absolutely.
Permanent,
yep.
Right? And they play a major role in a woman's life.
Yep.
Eventually, I may become a grandmother. And that's my 6th career.
Nice.
So people may laugh at that. But how much money do you spend on your kids and grandkids? and on yourself for the benefit of your husband.
Mm.
All these integrate into finances.
Yeah.
So this is not, people laugh at it, but it's really very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do I think about these things? Well, I was brought up in an environment that always thought about these things. My mom was a bookkeeper.
Mm.
My dad was a tax accountant. I would hear stories of my parents having $20 to their name after they bought their house right after they got married. And I would always hear the story about living on 29 cents a pound fish instead of 33 cents a pound chicken because they just couldn't afford the difference.
Yeah.
This is how you grow up.
Yep. So it doesn't surprise me that you started off in IT. I can definitely see you've got that kind of technical mind to you. I love that. And I 100% agree. Like being a mom, being a wife, those are careers for sure. And then, the things we learned from our parents really kind of stick with us. I can only imagine my parents actually were not very good with money. They were actually on public assistance when I was born, and my mom went back to college in her 30s in order to be able to get a job so that we could put food on the table, through our own money, rather than like government money and stuff. So we probably come to the financial industry from very different places, also different times too. In your time in the financial industry, what things have surprised you the most?
Oh, wow. The biggest surprise is that people, female or male, just don't learn about basic finances in their kindergarten, first grade, second grade, middle school, high school, or even college.
Yep.
They may take economics course. They may take a home economics course. And they do help. I do have to say they do help. But there's so many life events that we go through, and each of them requires money in some form. Just starting out of college, we got all the student loans. We have to pay those. How are we ever going to get through those? Even signing up for them in the first place is ominous, whether your parents were involved or not. Then it's, do I use a credit card or a debit card? You hear different forms about that. They don't necessarily talk about the differences and the pros and cons of each. Even taking advantages of grace periods on your bills. Does anybody ever think about that? There's a huge underground view of grace periods and how you can really take advantage of that for yourself. And you don't have to be struggling throughout the month for that. Getting your first mortgage. Huge. Understanding the pros and cons of a 15-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage. And how do I pay the down payment? Should I pay a big one? Should I pay a small one? And man, rates are so low now. Should I refinance now? Is it worth it? Is it not? Should I try to just get the mortgage paid off really quickly? Or should I not? And there's a lot of different ideas that go around in the world. Some of them are financial gurus on the radio who say one thing, and there's other people saying completely opposite. And you just don't know because you were never taught even the basics.
Yep.
Yep.
And the first place people go to is Google, right? You put in those questions you were just asking it into Lord Google, and you're going to find conflicting advice, and you don't know who do you pay attention to, who's actually got their finger on the truth, and which ones apply to you and which ones don't.
You are so right. And this is the biggest problem we have across the board. And I don't fault anybody for it because it's not our fault at all. It's the system we're brought up in. If you happen to have a great teacher when you were young, maybe in high school, who happened to say, finances are just really important and we're going to talk about this in depth, you were really lucky. And that can change your whole course for your life in terms of how you handle finances. But we're at the stage where some people are listening right now and they're like, I'm stuck. I didn't have that when I was young. what do I even do? Where do we even start?
Mm-hmm.
I got weddings to pay for and kids to go to college, and how in the heck am I ever going to save for retirement?
Yeah. Yeah. And then when we do decide to get help, this has probably been the thing that's most surprised me about the financial industry is just how competitive and cutthroat people are that are financial professionals. And let's say you want to talk to a couple different people before, and you wouldn't just work with the first real estate agent, right? You meet, you might talk to a couple before you choose one, unless someone's maybe referred to you or something. But you want to make a good choice. And the minute you get on a financial professional's radar, you know how much they're competing for your business and how much that they will tell you, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can only do what I would say for you to do. And there's like all kinds of closed-mindedness. And it's just so cutthroat. That's probably been the thing that surprised me the most. I came from the coffee industry where we loved getting together and like tasting different coffees that different people were making. And it was fun, right? A very, very different atmosphere.
Absolutely. Wow, the coffee industry. Boy, that's what's your favorite coffee? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, I have a lot. I'm definitely a snob, do the like single origin, roast. Right now, there's a really great coffee shop that's like less than a mile away from my home. And we just walk there and buy their beans because we know the farm that they work with in Guatemala, that they're doing some really great things with that farmer. And we want to support that. And the coffee tastes really good too. So that's what I drink every day.
Excellent. Excellent. Sounds great. Wow. You are so right that we try our hardest to find the right professional. When we finally get there, to decide that we even need one because we think that we're doing just fine. We're trudging along. We're not in the red every month. We're living paycheck to paycheck, which for some people is like, thank God, I don't owe any debt, but then they're not building any savings.
Yeah.
And there's a whole concept of debtors, savers, and wealth accumulators. And it's very unfortunate that 75% of the population are debtors. They just can't seem to save an extra penny because they really weren't taught much at all, and they have no time to read and learn about it because they're working so hard just trying to put food on the table for their kids and trying to have a home and all these other things that may be happening to them. And that's just terrible. And there's nothing more that we'd like to do than help them get out of debt and then bring them at least into the next part, which is savings. And savings is for the people who have that scarcity mentality where I got to save every penny I can, if I can, or save anything, because I'm going to need it for later on when I retire or whatever. And man, I hope I don't run out. Oh my goodness, I hope I don't run out. And it's really, they just put it aside. And usually they have no idea where to put it. So they put it into a bank account. How much do bank accounts earn? Not too much, right? No, 0.01% right now, if we're lucky. But it's in there. It's safe. You have ATM access to it. It's like, if I need tires on my car, I can get them. I have the $600 for it. But it goes quickly when you need it, and then you have to replenish it again. And that's extremely disconcerting for even savers.
Yeah.
So
and I don't know how many times I've heard people say, I would save and save and save, and something would always come up because yes, something always comes up.
Life happens.
Yeah.
There's no question. Life happens. And that's where we try to bring the savers. We bring the debtors into the savers, and then we bring savers into wealth accumulators. And what's a wealth accumulator? It's someone who saves regularly and wants to have their money grow for them in some form. Of course, they don't want to have their money lose. No one wants that. But what usually happens when we put it into the conventional types of vehicles for finances? What are those conventional financial vehicles? Wall Street, 401ks, IRAs, lots of things to that effect. 529 plans. That's where we put our money. And if they really worked the way they were supposed to work, over half of baby boomers would be retired instead of continuing to work into their 70s and 80s.
Yep.
Isn't that so true?
Totally. Yep.
And it's so scary because everybody works hard for the same purpose. They love their work and want to continue working for the rest of their lives, and bless those people. Some people want to work and retire at 40. Bless those as well if they can. Yep. But the average American is working until 67 or 66 in 4 months, right when they can get Social Security. And they put their money into the traditional conventional vehicles, primarily 401ks and IRAs. And their HR people sat them down 30 years ago and said, hey, just take this amount, put aside, and we'll give you a match. And in 30 years, you'll have $1.6 million. How's that sound? Oh, God, sounds great. Can't wait. 30 years later, you're looking and you're like, I'm ready to retire. Like, I don't have 6 million. I have 600,000 if I'm lucky.
Yep.
What happened? And that's called blind faith. You crossed your fingers, you closed your eyes, and you said, please, HR person, be right, and I don't have to worry about this. And unfortunately, it doesn't work for most of the population.
Yep.
There are a few it does work for, and I just call them lucky, especially if they had their money in a particular stock like IBM or United Technology, and it was $20 per share when they bought it 30 years ago, and now it's worth $400 a share. They put all their eggs in one basket, and luckily the basket didn't blow up. They were very lucky, but most people don't have that option, and they put it into the 401k and the IRAs and cross their fingers and hope. And they try to move it to diversification, small cap, large cap. I have to read about it, make sure I'm diversified. And in the end, all it does is if something's going to go high, because large cap's going up, small cap's going low. So you lose here, you gain here. So what happens is you just end up being even again. And it's not where you want it to be. What's wrong with this picture? This is conventional financial planning when you go to your average financial advisors.
Yeah. And that's where most women are learning about money and how to manage it, is from those types of people, because that's the training that's out there, and what everyone is being trained in, or 99% of the people. Any other ways that you think about women and how they're learning to manage money? Because there's a lot that troubles me, and I'm sure it troubles you as well. Anything else you wanted to talk about, particularly maybe with women?
Women, I love women.
Me too.
Women are strong. We are important creatures on this earth. I'm not saying men aren't, but women bear the children. They bear the pain, and not just that pain, but lots of other pain. And one of them is financial pain. And there's so much involved with that part of it. I believe I was listening to a women's show with Jean Chatzky. She's a famous women's writer. I think Women and Money is the book that she writes. And she says the 3 things that women want most with their finances are safety, certainty, and flexibility. It's so simple to ask for, so hard to get.
Yeah.
But because it's so hard to get, instead they have fear and shame and anger. And that is not a good place to be. They're fearful of making the wrong decision. They're shameful because they didn't go into what they thought they should have, or they did what their husband said without giving their input. And they feel bad about it, that they just didn't take control. And anger because they're behind the 8 ball. That I listened to my husband instead. Or when we sat down with a financial advisor, he really wasn't looking at me. He was looking at my husband because he's the major breadwinner, and I really didn't mean anything. And I didn't know what to do. So I kind of went into my shell, and I'll say, whatever you want to do, honey, it's fine. And honey doesn't always know the right thing to do. He's sometimes the same situation as you are, but he's a man about it. I'm going to make the decision, and it's going to work. And if it doesn't, oh well. Sorry about that. We'll just have to figure it out. So particularly with women. You know, I coach basketball, as you saw, girls basketball, third and fourth graders.
Nice.
And we have our little mantra, which is also done on the baseball field. It goes BEASSERTIVE. Be assertive.
Nice.
We want you to be assertive. You're going to make mistakes in trying to be that way. And they're going to look at you and say, you don't know what you're talking about. Let me just talk to your husband here. You need to make it clear that you are a decision maker too.
Yep.
You may be single. Okay. You may be single, but you need to ask questions. But the real problem is you don't know what questions to ask.
Yep.
And that's a really hard place to be in. So you have to find an advisor who is going to handhold you, honestly, handhold you through the process.
Yep.
And not necessarily be conventional, because most financial advisors are out there to sell you a product. Oh, you're about to get married. You need to get some term insurance to cover in case one of you dies. Oh, you just had a kid. Got to set up for a college education. Get that 529 started. Here's what I suggest. There's a product for everything, but it doesn't come together in a nice integrated way.
Mm.
And we want women and men, but particularly women, to just take the bull by the horns. You are completely capable of doing so. It's going to take time. It's going to be painful also. It's very painful.
Yeah.
And try to seek out somebody who's going to understand where you're at and to work with that person to make you where you want to be. But not just in the conventional way, in the unconventional world, in the guaranteed world. Remember, women want safety, certainty, and flexibility. That can only be happening in the guaranteed world.
Yep. I'm going to pause you there for a second because I know where you're going here, and I love where we're going. There's so much to what you just said. There's a couple parts that I want to unpack a little bit. That thing about, as women, we bear so much pain, like in childbirth, but also throughout our lives. That spoke to me. You touched my heart with how you said that. I got to go back and re-listen to that part of it. And then the whole idea of be assertive. I love that too. And I think one of the best ways that we can be assertive is to say, tell me the questions I should be asking, and if you are not working with a financial professional that you feel like is able to do that and tell you, well, most people ask this, or, really, this is the main concern you should have, or these are the pros and the cons, kind of things, then you're not working with the right financial professional, right? They should help you be assertive. They should be able to answer questions like, what am I not asking that I should be asking? And help you analyze it from all the different areas that you want to, right? And I also love this idea, as you're assertive, we're created man and woman for a reason. And we're all different kinds of human beings for a reason, with different cultures and different perspectives. Decisions are made better when all perspectives are on the table, when multiple viewpoints are being brought to the attention and discussed and shared. Better decisions are made. So yes, gosh darn it, be assertive, because it's going to help everybody make a better decision. So I'm digging this a lot.
Excellent. Unfortunately, as we all know, the number one reason for divorce is
money.
It's always, number one reason, not always. It's mostly about money. There are other reasons, but that's a huge reason. I find that when I work with my clients and they're not quite on the same page, I don't want to continue until they are on the same page. And just starting with a budget, which is huge because it hits every single penny that you spend, those that are in the hidden accounts and those that aren't in the hidden accounts. And what it does is it exposes everything to each other, which can be painful,
Yeah.
But I find it's an incredibly bonding experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ultimately on the same page as your spouse about money, or close to on the same page, you're never going to be exactly, even I'm not with mine. There's nothing more satisfying than not arguing about money, but arguing about where we're going to go on vacation next instead. That's always better.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very bonding, and it's not felt by most people because it's usually a taboo topic.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole thing on my radio show about how finances are absolutely taboo. You're there on a Memorial Day barbecue before COVID, and you're with everybody, and someone comes and says, "Oh, look at the stock market! It's such a high. My 401k is so good, and I made a killing on here." And then there's somebody over here saying, "Yeah, I'm not doing so well." But you're afraid to say that. Like, how you doing?
Right.
Doing just fine. Doing really well with it too. It's a taboo topic. No one ever is going to admit that I suck at this. I really am bad at taking care of my finances, and I really need help. Very few people do that.
Yeah.
And we try to take it out of that arena and saying it's not taboo. As a matter of fact, it's incredibly bonding.
Yeah.
So it's the way.
That's people talk about like money affirmations or like abundance affirmations to attract wealthier way, but one of my favorite ones is actually this one. I can talk openly and honestly about money. And if we start like saying that to ourselves in our heads, that'll start becoming reality, and we will start talking openly and honestly about money, even in like small steps, and then we'll talk more and more about it. And I would love a world where everyone felt comfortable to talk openly and honestly about money. And it's such a gift when people are open to doing that with me, right? And allows me to give them a gift in return.
Absolutely. It really is. And it just opens up a whole, not just that world, it opens up a lot of other worlds when you're finally open about money, because money is the tool you need to do what you want to do with your life. And then it leads down to other roads of, I always wanted to do this and I don't think I have the money for it, but now you do. Hey, this is great. I'm going to be able to self-actualize, something that on Maslow's hierarchical thing. Top, I want to get there. So when we come to this whole concept of conventional financial planning, Amanda and I, stray away from it, okay? Because it's all based on risk tolerance.
Yeah.
And when you sit down with your advisor for the first time, the first thing you're going to do is have you fill out a little sheet that says, let's do this risk profile. We need to know.
There. Totally.
You've been there. And no matter what number you put down, unless you put, I absolutely don't want any risk, then they don't want to deal with you. If you even put a little bit of risk, they've got you, and they're not going to let you go, because they're going to give you a little bit of risk and probably a little bit more. And that's something that we try to avoid. So it starts out like this. Hey, you're 40 years old and you're coming on in, you're trying to figure out what to do, fill out the risk profile. You're going to need college funding, you want to spend for retirement, you got your kids, you got, the hockey lessons to pay for that are really expensive, and camps, and we'll just take your money. How much can you save? Oh, you can save $350 a month. Perfect. Why don't we put it into this? And this mutual fund, it's done really well in the past while, and and we'll put in some other ones, so just in case it can't, and you just keep putting money in there. We'll draw out of your account every month, and you just forget about it. It's just going to grow. And every 6-12 months we'll talk about it, and once in a while we'll rebalance, and then by the time you're 65, things are going to look really good, and then you turn 65, and it's not really good. And your knees are creaking, and you're like, gosh, my mom is not doing well either, and she's going into a long-term care facility, and oh my gosh, it's like Medicaid and paying for it, and she didn't put any money aside, and I'm going to be like that. I'm 65 years old now. That's conventional planning, where they don't really think about the future for you. What we do is start when you're 82 years old. And we start thinking backwards. What are you going to need when you're 82? The mantra is, what are you going to do when you're 82 and the stock market crashes? What are you going to do? It's like, you have your little pile of money sitting in your IRA and you're using it to pay your rent and your expenses, And then your pile goes like this, and you still have to pay your rent and your expenses. You may have enough, but how do you feel psychologically? You're like, oh, I'm going to run out of money. I don't feel very good. And the stress comes on. And it's not even a money issue because you may even have enough, but you think you don't. And your life is awful because of it. And now you have another, hopefully 18 years to live to your 100, and you can't even enjoy it because you're worried about, oh my God, my money just went down. We start when you're 82 and we work backwards. What are you going to need when you're 82? Well, I want to leave something to my kids. Okay. I want to take advantage of long-term care because I don't want to wipe out all my assets. So I want to address that. I want to be able to retire comfortably and guaranteed. I want that check coming into my direct deposit every single month for the rest of my life. And I want inflation protection. And I want everything taken care of so I don't have to worry about money. I've worked for 65 years to worry about money. Now I want to enjoy my life. This is what we do. We work backwards so you can enjoy your life. So when we get down to when you were 20 years old and maybe you walk in because you're like 20 years old, what do I need a financial advisor for? Oh, my mother, she pulled my arm. She made me walk into it. And thank God she did. Okay, getting them to go in. If you the earlier you start with guaranteed type products, and we really mean guaranteed, not a hope and a whim and crossing your fingers and any of that. This is guaranteed products. This is the way that we know Amanda and I would not be doing what we're doing if there were any way that we could be sued for not doing what we're supposed to do. Because you can go to your other conventional advisor and say at 65, you told me I had $1.6 million. Where is it? Oh, that you wrote here, 25 years ago that this was your risk tolerance. And did you see the big asterisk that said, oh, future results are not guaranteed, not guaranteed from past results. You signed this, we're okay. Oh yeah, you're okay. I'm not okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Very different perspectives. I do have to say, sometimes when I'm talking to the 20 or 30 something, they're like, I don't care about 82. I don't even care about 65. I care about the next 5 years or the next year. And that's sometimes it's really fun to start there and then, and say, okay, yeah, we can do this. Like, that's going to be easy. But let's just dream for a second. What do you want to accomplish over your lifetime? What do you want to see happen? What do you want to, if you just take a minute to picture yourself at 95, excuse me, sorry, or 85, who do you picture, right?
You get a drink.
Getting all choked up about this.
Yeah.
And to like sit there in that person and write to yourself as your current person, right? Can be tremendously valuable. I've had some fun exercises like that where I try to picture myself at 75 or 65 and write as if here's what you accomplished over the last 30, 40 years. And here's what you're most proud of. And, all those kind of things can be a really good way to tap into yourself as an older person, which can feel like a totally different person at the same time.
Exactly. And it's hard. Those millennials out there, those Gen Xers, they're thinking about their Corvette that they want to get and impressing the next girl, and they have to spend money to do that. And they're not taught financial concepts in high school or college because there are plenty of millennials who, not plenty, but there's some who have been taught, and we have worked with them, and they will undoubtedly be set for life if they follow a guaranteed pattern. And what's interesting is most people don't even realize there's guarantees out there.
It's true.
Like, we have the stock market. Why? Because that's what's marketed. Stock market, CNBC, the ticker tape going against Fox News. That's all you see, and the CEO of Intel went down 10% today. Oh, and Starbucks went up 15% today. And here's why you should go in long term. And Kramer, what he says. Oh my gosh, it's
noise.
Noise. I love it. It's noise. It's just got to be plugged up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying nobody should play the market. I'm absolutely not saying that. What I am saying is that your core income and your core retirement savings needs to be in something that's absolutely foolproof and guaranteed. And if you know that it can be projected minimally as to what it's going to be guaranteed. And if you're happy with that sum of money, then any extra money that you have can be played at any casino that you want to, stock market or otherwise.
Yeah.
But when you're 22 years old, unless you had a huge inheritance, you don't have a lot of money to work with to start. Nothing should be in that casino yet. Maybe when you're 30 and you have a core that's starting to build. But it's a different philosophy what we have. But as I said, the reason Amanda and I do it is because we know you will get to where we say you are going to get, not 1.6 million. You know, maybe you're going to get to 800,000, and you do get to 800,000. And at that point, you may like, wow, you know, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. That's great, you know. And yet at the same time, you're feeling, but I like the roller coaster of the stock market. I like the highs, and I deal with the lows. But I like the highs, but sometimes it's more lows. But I really like those highs. And that's just playing on human emotion. And emotions are great, but man, don't let it be with your money.
Yeah. 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 And part of that emotional thing too, I hear this all the time. Like, why should I worry about when I'm 65 or 75? I want to enjoy life now. And when I get a chance to talk to somebody that's 18, you know, just starting out, trying to figure things out, I talk about like, okay, I'm not telling you don't enjoy life. I'm saying find that type of balance or that mix of enjoy life now and make sure you can enjoy life later, whether that's when you're 65 or whether that's in 5 years when you get to go on a dream vacation because you saved up for it, or you get to buy that home with a 20% down payment because you saved up for it. You don't have to just think about when you're 65, 75. You can think about some of those big dreams that you have that you want to do within the decades between now and then find that balance for you of what it means to enjoy life now and enjoy life later. And if people find that right mix, whether it's something like 50-50 or some people might be at 80-20, you know, different things, but you at least find something to start setting aside for the future, whether it's a year, 5 years, 20 years in the future, that puts you way head and shoulders above your peers, especially if you're able to start super young. But also if you're starting later, it's never too late to start either.
It's never too late to start, but Amanda, you make some absolutely fantastic points. You know, it's really hard when you're young and feeling immortal that you're not gonna, you need to even worry about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And again, it's all because they didn't learn it from their parents or in school. You know, like, oh, I've got my first job. I'm earning $60,000 a year, and I'm just going to go out and buy my Audi, and then I want to go on vacation, again, depending on COVID, and all the other things that are going on, and really explain to them that you can have your cake and eat it too is huge. And you have to really show them you're going to spend $30,000 on a car. Okay, you're going to have payments for a long time. You're good with that? Great. But there's a better way. Not just paying the car dealer. There's a better way.
Yeah.
And that's what we specialize in, is the better way.
Yeah. Yep.
That secret that we're going to give away?
Yeah, go for it.
That better way, using the guaranteed products, is using, now everybody watch out, I don't want hair standing up on end as a result of this, whole life insurance. Insurance. Whole life insurance. What are you talking about? Nobody talks about whole life insurance. Nobody. Well, not nobody. Amanda and I do. As a matter of fact, the whole life insurance is its own entity, because there's regular whole life insurance and there's a specialized form of whole life insurance. So there's plenty of people who sell regular whole life insurance, and those are general insurance agents that when you need some insurance, you go to them and they'll say, oh, gee, you ought to have some term or whole life. And we may be talking about terms that you don't understand at this point, but they are out there. But we deal with a very specialized form of whole life insurance, and it's called the bank on yourself method. And it is a different way of thinking about money management. You're actually, instead of using the 401k as your tool for retirement, you're using insurance, specifically Bank on Yourself designed whole life insurance as your financial tool. And there is a huge number of benefits that people would never even think about with insurance. What's the number one benefit people think about, Amanda?
The big paycheck when something goes wrong.
Exactly. I die and my family's going to get some money. How does that help me? Well, it helps you tremendously because with correctly designed and Bank on Yourself designed whole life insurance, there are tons of living benefits. Taking advantage of IRS rules that are out there that not many people know about. And the main rule is IRS rule number 7702. Look that up, IRS 7702. And it says that all cash that's accrued inside a whole life insurance policy is, get this, tax-free for life. Tax-free for life. Now, taxes may or may not be an important thing to you right now. We're actually in the lowest tax brackets we've been in years, and I really mean years. We're talking since 1923. We're actually in the lowest tax brackets. I can prove it, but not right now. I have a great chart for it. We are low, okay? It doesn't feel low when you have to pay the extra amount to the IRS because not enough was taken out of your paycheck. That's very different, but it's low. And when were we in the highest tax brackets? During World War I, World War II, and pandemics. Gee, what are we in right now? A pandemic, because they're putting out millions and billions and trillions of dollars to everybody. And who's going to eventually pay it back? Me. You want to volunteer?
I'll probably pay more than you, Debbie, because it'll be part. I have a longer lifetime probably ahead of me.
And believe it or not, people who are in 401ks right now, who are young like Amanda, I'm not so old, but younger like Amanda, are volunteering to defer their taxes now at a nice low tax bracket to pay lots of nice taxes later on. You're like, please pick me, take my 401k, charge me more. That's okay. I'm taking that risk. But you know what? You didn't know you were taking that risk because you didn't even know that's what's really going to happen. Yep. Because originally you didn't even know what to ask. And this is what I mean. This is what we try to teach people, is that these are ticking time bombs. IRAs and 401ks. Again, some money is okay in it. But wouldn't it be nice if most of your money grew tax-free and you have access to it? In your 401k, you get up to 50%. This year's a little different because of COVID and you can take out money, but in general, you get 50%. It's not then in the market anymore, which may be good or bad because you took the money out and then you got to pay it back. And you can't necessarily put more money in your 401k because you have to pay it back. So that's 5 years later, maybe. That's 5 years of no more savings. There's so much involved with it that we want to put that all aside. Just go away. Okay, we want to provide you accessibility, flexibility, an alternative method to growing your wealth. And Amanda and I, we don't just talk the talk. We truly walk the walk. I started this back in 2005. I now have 13 policies. This is my retirement. I actually don't even have to pay any taxes in retirement because it's all tax-free money. And so, man, what a concept. Do you even think it's real? Or am I just like this crazy lady talking with the green screen behind me? Is it real? Amanda?
Yeah. So this is part of what I love about how similar our stories are, and that we were both clients. We were both using this bank on yourself system and concept before we ever even thought about becoming part of this industry. And I don't know about you, but I would have never wanted to be a financial professional. That never crossed my radar until I was selling a business and thinking about what's changed my life, what has really helped me that I could help other people with. And the first thing that came to mind, bank on yourself. Bam. Like, it made a lot of sense to me, to walk people through and to educate, to help. We like to say we don't ever guarantee anybody they're going to be rich, but we can pretty much ensure them that they'll never be poor. And I love that, because my whole mission in life has always been to end poverty. And I work, through nonprofits, through doing some things, to end poverty around the world. But I also try to prevent poverty through the work that we do too. And that's probably the most important part of it to me, is to make sure when we're in our 60s, 70s, 80s, that we're not eating cat food and using single-ply toilet paper and, depending on handouts in order to, live, that we can actually have good lives where we can then go volunteer, give things to others who are still figuring out how to live their lives.
That is so wonderful. It really is. It's such a noble cause we even started with. And now you're showing people how they can do what they want to do. And if their finances are in order and guaranteed, and they know where it's going to be, and it's guaranteed to grow, not just guaranteed, but guaranteed to grow. And it's just a matter of how much do you want to put in. That makes people just feel so much better about what they want to do. It's such a great story that you have. It really is.
Yeah. And you as well, because I know, like, we haven't even been able to scratch the surface for, the single moms that you work with and the really awesome things that you're doing to help people get that solid financial foundation that they can launch after their dreams from. And that's probably one of the things I love most about working with women, is we do want that solid foundation. We do know the importance of that safety and security. And then that gives us more confidence to go after the things we really want.
Absolutely. Single women, divorced women, widowed women. Gosh, there's probably as many of those as there are married women. Okay. And we want you to take control. BEASSERTIVE. Be assertive. Just take control. Find out what there's out there. Look at the different types of advice out there. It's a lot of the same type of advice. We are truly different. And in the end, after hearing our advice, you may say, I don't like it. That's fine. We love to educate and just let you know it exists. And it isn't truly for everyone. First of all, it's whole life insurance. There goes again, the insurance word again. You have to qualify. You have to be fairly healthy, not perfectly healthy, but fairly healthy. You have to be a decent weight and height and not, out of the range of norms. There's certain things that they look for. But once you have it, man, it is an absolutely fabulous way to guarantee you where you want to be. And as Amanda so eloquently said, it may not guarantee you to be rich, but it's going to guarantee to never, ever be poor.
Yeah. That's a great place to end, Debbie. I want to give people, here's how you can connect with Debbie. I'm sure everybody loves you right now and wants to talk to you. So please reach out to Debbie. There's her email address right there. Debbie at thefinancialfixer.com. And of course, you all know how to reach out to us with Grandma's Wealth Wisdom, but just in case, I'll show that too, grandmaswealthwisdom.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell that pops up so you get notified of future interviews and other content that we produce. And if you want to have Debbie back on Grandma's Wealth Wisdom YouTube channel to talk more about her perspective about money and to bring that to you, please give us a comment, say yes, more Debbie, or give us a thumbs up. share this video with your friends to help us get more views on it, and that will show us this is really good and that you really liked it. I'm going to go and put Debbie's email back up. Any final thoughts, Debbie?
Just please keep your mind open. Women in particular, don't be afraid. Learn what questions to ask by asking people, what questions should I be asking? And the more you ask, eventually you're going to get to the questions that you really need. And do not be afraid to take control of your own finances.
Yes. You can control your financial future.
Absolutely. And just as a clarification, it's not the financial fixer, but this is correct. The finance fixer.
Oh, thank you.
It's the finance fixer, and it's the financefixer.com. Just want to make sure that's correct.
Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And happy listening, and have a great day.
Can we have one more of the Be Assertive cheer?
BEASSERTIVE. Be assertive.